When Jon Stewart said that we were going to witness 10 of the best matches we had ever seen, surely this pay-per-view could not live up to that kind of hyperbolized hype. Surely. Hey guys, Fred here, and the CC Network is back again with a review of SummerSlam 2015 here in front of your ear holes. And the one thing that I'm actually a bit shocked by is this entire show had every single match advertised on the card. No pre-show matches, meaning every single prediction I made could actually be validated in this review, which is all good. And speaking of the predictions, I got 7 out of 10 on the night, so it was actually a pretty lucrative night for me in terms of predicting results. However, the card order? It could have been a lot better. Anyway, let's get into the match-by-match analysis, and we'll see where everything lined up. First up, we have a Sheamus defeating Randy Orton in a surprising opening match of the night, because of course, my mantra is, if you have an opening matchup, it should be fast and intense. This wasn't really that to a degree. Anyway, let's look at this. Psychology is a 1.5. I felt that while Sheamus did get his aggression out early, beating Orton to the point where he got busted open the hard way was a nice set for him, thinking, okay, this guy really doesn't like the fact he lost at the last pay-per-view and wants to serve him up royally with a brogue kick to the face. And it came out surprisingly well, but there wasn't a lot of body selling, which, it's a Randy Orton-Sheamus match, what more do I have to say? I mean, honestly, I like the idea that the commentators were trying to sell the blood, saying, oh, it's a cut above his eye, it might go into his eyes, and it could limit Orton's performance. Then you usually don't hear the commentators selling this. But then again, Orton didn't bother with it. It didn't get into his eyes at all. It cleared up rather fast. And inevitably, it didn't really work. So, nice try, commentators, you've done a good job there. But it didn't work out on the visual front. But you look at it, there wasn't enough body selling, and if it wasn't for the aggression shown by Sheamus that caused the blood to appear in the first place, this could have been pretty much nothing on the story front, which is a little disappointing. Move variety is a 2.5. There were quite a few moves here that I quite enjoyed. An exploder suplex over the top rope, which, can't go wrong with an exploder suplex. An educator by Sheamus, a hangman DDT from the top rope by Orton, Sheamus doing his diving shoulder block over the top rope, and having it counted into an RKO. I mean, yeah, it could have been the ender, but luckily Sheamus rolled out and the match got to continue, inevitably resulting in the finish. So, inevitably, those moves were actually quite impactful, high risk, and honestly were enough to give this a really good rating for the moves. Crowd reaction, though, I have to admit it was a 2. Annoyingly enough, they were chanting with, the Enzo Amore and casting of how you doing. They were olaying as well. During Sheamus' dominance, the crowd really didn't give a damn, and it was only when Orton hit that Hangman DDT that they came alive and gave the match what it should have been given. See, this is what I mean. If you've got a slow, methodical match to kick off a night, the crowd are going to dissipate fast in terms of their vocal sound. And it is proven here. And you know what? That RKO counter, they just completely freaked out for it, so you can't go wrong. And also, I'll give them credit for booing Sheamus a ton, which makes the dynamic of the feud even better, because it means at least their roles are entrenched. We haven't got this smart crowd liking Sheamus because he's a heel and hating on Orton because he's Orton. At least that wasn't there. I can be happy for that. Now we get to the match length and pacing, which was 2.5. I feel overall, Sheamus on the offensive from the get-go. It didn't let Orton get anything. It was a good way of pacing the momentum shifts, because after that, they fluidly went between both of them, both getting equal shares of the offense. And Sheamus' dominance was established. Both could then go at each other and not have a single problem with where the story could go from there. Although I would have liked to have seen Orton get a little more dominance to ensure it was more balanced. And it was overall fast enough to not be boring. And because of those momentum shifts, it really didn't slow down from that point on, which is a little bit of a detriment, but then again we can blame the crowd needing to be jacked back up for it. And overall, 12 minutes and 14 seconds, it was just long enough to do its job. It didn't feel overly long like the Battleground match did, and overall it told a lot more, despite what little story it had. And overall, okay, the ending was a little bit sudden, which kind of killed myself and the crowd completely. It was an unexpected finish, because we were thinking Orton's going to kick out of that brogue kick, and it's not going to be a problem. I'm actually kind of happy that they didn't go for that finish, because by the looks of it, it all worked out. And in the end of it, it's a lot better than what I saw at Battleground. So I can't really go too far, though, because I look at the story, there wasn't much of it, and the crowd were a bit dead. So, inevitably, it's not going to get as good as I would have thought it would have gotten, but 2.25 star isn't bad to kick this show off, even with a match of this type. Still shows that Orton and Sheamus can wrestle well under the right circumstances. So, that's a good thing, right? Next up, we have The New Day surprising pretty much everyone, defeating the Primetime Players, Los Matadors, and the Lucha Dragons in a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Elimination match to win the Tag Team Championships. And, well, I'm saying this right now, this should have kicked off the night, or at least be third in the card, not second. That's just my opinion, or hell, even on the pre-show. Psychology was a 1.5, this was mostly because the New Day tried to pin themselves to win, and the commentators highlighted that a lot early on, that both men technically tagged themselves in and tried to cover themselves, so they both lost and won at the same time. What a fantastic idea, I'm amazed no one's done that in a multi-man match of this kind. But then, the ending is where the rest of this comes in. I mean, sure, all the teams hate each other, but no real body selling involved. It wasn't really a bad thing. But you look at Kofi, he tagged himself in while Titus hit the giant spot, which I will get to later, and inevitably got the win. So the New Day snuck out again, but this time with the tag belts. So in this multi-man clusterfuck, they did manage to sneak their way out of it, which was an interesting thing, because it was either them going to lose or win outright, like they did in Elimination Chamber. But the good thing is, I'm happy they snuck out of it, because it proves they're damn good heels. So you can't go wrong with it. A lack of body selling and a lack of real intensity from most of the teams really didn't play into the match story-wise, though. Gotta rank it down. Move variety gets a 2. Now, there was a few botches here. I mean, you got a head scissor botch by Cara in the early going, which I wasn't sure if Sin Cara did botch it or not. It's up for debate, I'll let you decide for that. There was a double monkey flip by Lucha Dragons, a springboard enziguri by Kalisto, who got applause for his agility in this thing. A big splash on the apron by Big E, which was fantastic. A springboard axe handle being counted into a standing atomic drop by Young, which was lovely. Sin Cara botching another head scissors, visibly this time. El Torito springboarded from one side of the ring to the other, and then hit a crossbody getting caught by Xavier Woods, it wasn't executed in terms of it actually hitting the move, but damn, it was a really fun thing to watch, and kind of shows how athletic El Torito is, and I can't go wrong with that. A diving spear by Big E, honest to God, you can never go wrong with it. Although here, there were some attempts at these big spots, and a lot of the times, especially going towards the giant spot that I'm about to go into, the Matadors fell off. Luckily, there's a second Matador ready to climb into position to set up the spot. It looked a little sloppy, I'm not going to lie. But then again, that double suplex powerbomb by Titus was fantastic. It didn't get the right pop, but still, what are you going to do? Crowd reaction? Oh well, a 2. I mean, it's a Fatal 4-Way tag match. I was expecting something more from this. I really was, and it's annoying because they appreciated Kalisto's agility, they're getting behind the Lucha Dragons, which meant that the crowd only really popped for them. They only popped for the Lucha Dragons, which means everyone else, it felt a bit flat. Even until Titus came back in there and laid waste to everybody, there wasn't really that much of a reaction, which meant, just like the last match, halfway through, it just goes to literal silence and a little bit of chanting. There's literally just a sandwich of crowd chants, nothing, crowd chants, which isn't really how a match should be. If anyone can really highlight that, it isn't how it's supposed to be. It's ridiculous. And, yeah, I will give Titus the credit for waking that audience up, because it was really needed here. Match length and pacing was a 2.5, and honestly, when you look at how fast this match was to start with, you would have thought, okay, if this was the opening match of the night, it would have gotten through everything. It would have been really quick, really fast, lots of crazy crap, and it would have resulted in a very entertaining match. But of course, the New Day were in there with the Matadors wearing them down. They were wearing down a Lucha Dragon, they were wearing down Darren Young for a good chunk of the match, and therefore, as I already highlighted, the crowd died as the match went to a methodical pace. It didn't really need it. And sure, the match recouped its pace shortly afterwards, and had O'Neal reaching its peak, but overall 11 minutes and 22 seconds, it was just about right, and I felt it could have lasted 2 or 3 minutes longer, so the New Day victory didn't look really fluky and just a bit rushed, to be honest. It could have done a lot more with it, and honestly, if they cut down that methodical beating in the middle of the match, it actually could have been a lot better. And overall, I have to section this out for my enjoyment, but Xavier Woods ranting at ringside is still one of the funniest things on WWE television. You don't really get what he's saying. He goes on these incredible rants about something to do with breakfast or some other crap, and you're listening to it thinking, wow, this guy I hope to God in the future is on the commentator's booth because he can lay in some funny crap when you need it. And I know I'm saying funny crap like it doesn't mean anything, but hey, that's just my word for stuff when I'm speaking out loud. It's not everything I need to do. Nonetheless, this match had its problems, sure, but honestly, it entertained to a degree, and just like the last match, 2.25 stars is all I'm giving. If it went on a bit longer, had more psychology, and honestly went a bit faster, it would have gotten possibly to a possible 3-star territory, but we're not going to get it, and that's just how it's going to be. Now, we have Ziggler versus Rusev, which to everyone's surprise ended in a double countout. Really? I mean, oh my god, a double countout on a pay-per-view, the second biggest of the year? Oh well, psychology got a 1.5. In fact, I'm going to just save you the time. Everything bar my enjoyment got a 1.5. Here's why. On the psychology front, Ziggler fought out the gate and was overpowered quickly. Rusev went off to the back with a bear hug, which kind of confused me because, hold on a second, you injured the throat and the neck. Why not work on it? Your accolade works on the back and the neck. So sure, you're working up the accolade, but you injured that throat. Why didn't you go after it? It makes no sense. Because even with the aggression shown by both men, Rusev is ignoring the injury that inevitably led to all this happening. So, what's the point of all this? Why am I even watching this? I mean, if it wasn't for that aggression, where would you be? Then, of course, we get to Summer Rae and Lana's involvement. Now, honestly, in my opinion, they should have been involved right from the start. Whenever Ziggler got put to the outside, Lana tries to help him, Rusev fights her off and goes back to it. Then it causes friction. That's how you build these valet interferences going into the match. The thing is, all the way through, those two were outside, Summer Rae and Lana, standing there, cheering and shouting, not really doing anything. Which kind of made me question, hold on a second, you're emotionally invested in this match in terms of the story. Why the hell are you not doing anything? And also not to mention you've got the crowd chanting for Lana every half second, meaning inevitably the two guys in the ring didn't even get a factor. And honestly, Summer Rae got slapped, causing Rusev to break the accolade up. Everything broke to the outside, and we had the annoying double countout, and the crowd woke up because Lana did what was necessary. Which is really weird. On a move variety, there was a lot of sloppy moments in here. A sloppy X Factor from the rope was one of them. And sure, Ziggler hit it, but the landing was awful. And I'll give Rusev some credit for this one. A rolling senton. From a guy that big, yeah. I mean, it's okay doing a jumping senton like Owens does or Wyatt, but when you're doing a rolling one, holy crap, that is quite impressive. Then the crowd reaction. As I've already highlighted, they were cheering for Lana, even with Ziggler's being in the offense. They were starting to get behind it, but because of the pace of it, being methodical, with Rusev's standard pacing of beating the crap out of the guy, having the guy fight back, and then it reverts back and forth as such, it didn't really go anywhere. And you look at that and think, okay, the crowd only really care about the women fighting. So why not put them in the match? Why not have it a mixed tag match so you get the crowd on your side for it? That's the thing I don't get about this match. It had so much to do, and yet so much of it wasn't done. It baffles me. And you look at the pacing as well. I mean, sure, I've already mentioned the pace of the match was slow and methodical, and even though Ziggler's was expected as fast and aggressive, it was only in short bursts, which meant half the time you're sitting there bored out of your ass. And then you look at the time that this match had. 11 minutes and 50 seconds. It was way too long, considering what little the match had to offer. And the finish just did not help. And I'm looking at this match thinking, I had such high hopes for this. And it was executed in the worst way possible. From the finish, to the psychology, to the pacing, to the time of the match, to even the crowd response. Even only the move variety had small sprinkles, but it was only a small sprinkle because the rest of it had nothing to stand out for. And that's the problem I have with it. The match should have been a lot more than this, and I'm going to give it half a star. It's poor. Very poor. In fact, for me, it was the worst match of the night. It was lucky if it had gotten worse than this. it would have probably ended up with possibly a quarter star or a 0. This match was lucky. Very lucky indeed to not get that mark. Next, we have the comic book superhero feud of amazingness. Kind of. With Neville and the Green Arrow, Stephen Amell defeating King Barrett and Stardust. This was a prediction I don't think anyone got wrong. Psychology, a 1.5. Stardust, well, he wanted Amell straight out of the gate the moment he got tagged in. And, well, the fact is, Amell threw him around and proved he can actually match Stardust's pace and put some moves in. I thought, okay, you thought this guy was just an actor. He's coming in there and he's kicking your ass. I kind of like this. And overall, not to mention that, I've got to give Amell some plaudits because he played the face in peril throughout. I mean, to see a celebrity not only actively hit moves and keep to pace with it, looking like he actually belongs in the ring, but also play the face in peril really well, I've got to tip my hat. That was a good thing for him. He did a good job. But overall, nothing else to really report, story-wise. I would have thought Stardust would have had a fun time kicking the crap out of him. Didn't really show it, though, even though he was yelling at him multiple times, saying, hey, who's your hero now? Are you my hero? Oh, it was quite fun indeed. Move variety was a 1.5 as well. In fact, I'm going to save you the rest of the time again. The rest of it, bar my enjoyment, was a 1.5. The move variety, I've got to give Amell some credit once again. He hit a bloody enziguri. Whew! And then Neville went for and hit a Phoenix Splash from the second rope. Fantastic. Then, even more so, Amell died off the top rope onto Stardust and Barrett. I mean, I know for the role of Green Arrow, you need to be quite well-toned, very cardiovascularly fit, and actually do good stuff, but I wasn't expecting him to handle himself as well as he had done, and these moves definitely played into it, which was great. Crowd reaction, well, Neville being in the match woke the crowd up right when he got the hot tag, but while Amell was being handed to by Stardust, no one really cared. Seriously, I mean, it would have been better off if the hot tag had been the other way around, but everyone likes Neville, so... I mean, overall, the dive off the top was fantastic. The crowd loved that, so you can't go wrong with it. Match length and pacing, it was slow to play, because obviously it would be, because it's Amell's first match, and it impacted as such. I mean, Neville being in the match was quite quick, and overall, even when Amell put his agility into play, the match didn't really pick up pace until its conclusion when Neville was on his own with Barrett and Stardust, which was expected as well. And you know what? I actually expected this match to go a lot longer than this. I mean, 7 minutes and 36 seconds. It was actually surprisingly short. And it would have gone... I would have liked Neville's offense to not feel as nuanced and minimal as it ended up looking. But overall, it was a focus on Green Arrow. It was the focus on him and how he would do in the ring. So therefore, it's done its job to a degree, but... I would have liked it longer, I would have liked it more balanced in terms of momentum shifts. It would have been a lot better than what we got, but I can't deny it wasn't too bad. And overall, my enjoyment got a 2. This quote from the King, I absolutely loved. Batman would hit people so hard the letters would end up flying out just to describe it, which is the quote of the bloody night from the commentators, you are not denying it. And overall, Stephen Amell, you impressed me. I'm going to tell right now, if you come back and do more of this stuff, I will not be angry at it. I'll be immensely happy going, yep, you impressed me enough, come back in there. This is a celebrity who has worked hard and taken it seriously, and I am loving it. Keep up the good work in the show, and if you want to come back, you will always get my seal of approval. And overall, yeah, the match, what were you going to expect for it? It's a celebrity tag match. It wasn't going to be much, but the little we got was entertaining enough that I thought, you know what, it's not abominable, it's not awful, in fact, it's just about decent. Which means overall I can give it 1.25 star. Why? Because I'm nice like that. Some people on the Skype chat I had last night were telling me it inevitably could be a bit higher, but hey, you only deal with what content you get from it, and sadly, if there was more, I could have given a lot more to it than what I have done. Next up, we have Ryback defending the Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat match against The Miz and The Big Show. Hooray! There isn't really that much to talk about here. I mean, everything's 1.5 apart from my enjoyment, as you can see. The Miz stayed out of the ring until one of the either two was incapacitated, which goods for psychology, because he would obviously want to do that. Not to mention, after both of the Giants had their finishing moves locked on, the guy quite frantically went and pinned both men trying to get the victory, and they both kept kicking out of everything, which was really fun. The Miz tied this all together. He was the one being chased by the two, he was the one being frantically trying to win, he was the one literally making this entertaining. Which, isn't really much to say, but what are you going to do? It's a triple threat match involving two big guys and a Miz. What are you going to do? Move variety, again, in 1.5, a double suplex by Big Show was nice. A rolling senton from the top rope by the Big Show. Okay, I already highlighted Rusev already attempted one on the canvas. Seeing Big Show do it from the second or from the top rope? What the hell? It was fantastic. Not to mention the choke slam of Miz onto Ryback by Big Show was lovely, as well as the shell shock by Ryback on the Big Show. Of course, it would have gotten a bigger pop if we hadn't seen it months prior. But overall, that's what you can do with it, really. Crowd reaction, I had to find that Miz's flurry of pins and moves really made the crowd wake up, because apart from that, they were pretty dead. Although those big moves from that senton through did give the crowd some excitement. Not much, though. Overall, it was a slow pace, but it sped up due to those multiple near falls, making up for a lack of exciting action. However, it didn't last long. This match, it only went 5 minutes and 36 seconds. This could have easily opened the show, got them off to a wild start for a face that they actually respected and wanted in there, and it would have made them better over the course of the night. That's just my opinion, but overall, I just couldn't get into this match, despite some good moves. I really wasn't into it that much. It was paced relatively badly, or well, considering the time in this case, but the time was way too short considering, but if you're going to impose Ryback on people, have them beat Miz and Big Show in a triple threat really quickly, it did the job, I guess. But the match just didn't have much of substance outside of those big moves and those near falls. It was very little, which is disappointing. I mean, it was better than the singles match that Big Show and Ryback had prior, or was it Miz and Big Show? You know what I mean. Either way, it was better than whatever happened prior on pay-per-view, and I unfortunately have to give it 3/4 of a star. It wasn't what I was expecting, but then again, what could I have expected from this? Probably my least anticipated match of the evening. Next up, as I predicted, against everyone else clamoring for a heel turn, Ambrose and Reigns defeated the Wyatts. The writing was on the wall, people. How could you not tell? Anyway, Psychology was a 1.5. Ambrose and Reigns dominated in the early going, which was showing just how much they wanted to beat these guys up for the crap they'd been put through. And inevitably, Roman, he got knocked out by, he got knocked out, meaning inevitably he was out on the floor for a good portion of the match, playing up the intensity of the pain Ambrose is going through, allowing that hot tag to naturally generate over time, as per expecting. But overall, there wasn't that much else. The body selling wasn't there, which, to be honest with Dean Ambrose, a fantastic selling machine, don't know why he wasn't doing any of it. Seriously, I would have liked to have seen it. And of course, why not put Harper through the laws? He can sell as well, but nothing really happened there. Move variety was a 2.5. Ambrose running from the tables onto Wyatt was fantastic. A leaping forearm from the steps by Reigns beforehand was good. The middle rope suplex the outside may have been missed by camera, but my god, that camera made it look like it was a DDT straight to the floor, and it would look like it was bloody painful. Then, of course, the reason why that 0.5 goes from a 1.5 to a 2.5, well, it's the Doomsday Device. These two are brothers in arms, and they bloody showed it by pulling out the most famous of all tag team moves. You just can't get better than that in terms of telling its own story in that way, you know. Then the crowd reaction. A 2. You see, the thing is, while they were freaking out with the high-flying spots, the crowd kind of went a bit dead. This is the problem I've had with the crowd all night. They love the action when it gets really fast, but the minute it goes anywhere technical, they're just like, nope, we're not going to bother with this. We're going to shut up and not say anything. Then you have the Romans sleeping chant. Oh my god. That, you can tell, is a New York crowd with that chant. It's ridiculous. And you know what's also annoying? They booed him as he came into the match. And I know Roman Reigns is not John Cena, but for God's sake, people, everywhere else he has gotten back in with the crowd. They like him. Sure, a smart crowd will actually enjoy him, but no, apparently the Royal Rumble still holds in a very sour, very bad place on the New York crowd's palate. It disappointed me, and it actually distracted from this match. Usually if the crowd completely goes AWOL and starts going crazy, it could end up lending to some excitement. Not in this one. I'm sorry, this was just not for me. Length and pacing, Got a 2.5. Overall, it was a frantic pace from the start with people flying everywhere. The crowd ate that up as the momentum shifted extremely fluidly throughout. And it flowed well. It did make that 10 minutes and 56 seconds feel like it lasted a lot longer than it did. Surprisingly, I thought it was a lot longer than that. But honestly, I felt it could have gone on longer if there was some shorter matches in the night early on. But meh, this match told what it had to. But then I look at it and think it could have delivered more. It was an average match. It felt average, it looked average. Even though it was hyped up to be this big thing, I came out of it feeling a bit gutted. Like, there was some cool moves in there, it was nice to watch to a degree, but the crowd kind of ruined it, the psychology was missing some bits, and inevitably, I don't know, there was something about it that just felt off to me. Which is the case in a lot of Wyatt's matches, to be honest. And overall, 2.5 star is perfect for it. It's not too high, it's not too low, it's bang on average. What more can I say? Now to the most shocking result of the evening. Seth Rollins defeated John Cena. Let that sink in a minute if you actually cannot believe it. For both championships. He retained the world title, won the US title. Sure, I didn't predict that part of it, but I did predict Seth winning. And I'm so happy he did. And it was awesome. How could people think that Seth would lose this? It baffles the mind. Oh, Cena wins, lol. Look, it's SummerSlam. Since 2011, he hasn't won once. I knew it was going to play in again, and it did. However, the way it did it, wow, okay, did not see that coming. Psychology of 4. Cena was wearing down Rollins in the early going, saying, I'm going to break your face, while holding him in chokeholds and headlocks. All good. Cena then gets later on hit by his own AA. Fun as hell. And you know what? In doing that, Rollins has shown to fight through everything that Cena threw at him. And he almost won as well. So all the stuff that Cena said about him being a poor champion, all this, he isn't doing well as a champion, he's trying and successfully attempting to out-wrestle you here. It's every bit as good. Seriously. And then even better, Rollins gets put in a figure 4 later on, and he sells the legs. Oh, I actually was really happy about that because this was the first bit of body selling that we'd seen all night. This was the 7th match of 10, and we only saw the first bit of body selling now? Oh boy. Yeah. Kinda baffled me a little bit. And of course there was a ref bump whilst in the AA. Cena didn't get the victory. Things got a little bit interesting. There's a knee right to Cena's nose by Rollins, emphasizing that, oh good god, you could have broken the nose again. Brilliantly solved by Cena. Then we get something that I discounted, saying it could have been possible, but not in the way we actually expected it to. Jon Stewart came out and, well, he decked Cena in the gut with a chair, leading to a pedigree on the chair, and Rollins got the win. It doesn't make any sense, but at least it builds up for the upcoming events of the next couple of weeks, at least. I will have to say, though, Jon Stewart, you kind of botched it a little bit. Sure, I can give you a little bit of leeway because you're not a wrestler, you're not a person who's been in the business, and you don't know how to time things properly. But don't look at Cena repeatedly waiting for him to get up. Then you could have just looked at, oh yeah, the Titantron wasn't on, so you couldn't have looked at that to get yourself, you know? But you could have looked a bit more menacing to play it off. But seriously, what the hell? This entire finish was out of the blue, crazy. And if it adds more to the story, so be it, but damn, it was fun. Move variety, well, that was a 4 as well. There were some incredible moves here. A somersault plancha by Rollins, a running shooting star press by Rollins, a double stomp to the face from the top rope by Rollins, an electric chair facebuster by Cena, which I never get sick of seeing. A top rope leg drop did miss the head of Rollins, even though he sold it though, saying, oh, he clipped the head with the weight of his behind. Sure, commentators, keep telling me that. A powerbomb from the top rope to the corner by Rollins. Sorry, a frog splash by Rollins, which we don't often see at all, which was brilliant. An AA by Rollins, again, I got to give plaudits for using a different move in your repertoire. A figure 4 by Cena to play in the flare tie. A superplex into a Falcon Arrow, which by Rollins, which I never get sick of seeing. And then, of course, the Phoenix Splasher misses. I don't care if it misses, you still attempted a Phoenix Splash. Cannot go wrong with how good that is. And inevitably, the moves were incredibly exciting here. What more do I have to say? All I needed was a ridiculously big top rope double spot, and we would have probably gotten higher than that. But who cares? It was still bloody good. Crowd reaction was also a 4. The crowd were firmly in Rollins' corner here. Then again, it's an anti-Cena crowd in New York. It's an anti-Cena crowd in a lot of places, but it's a wrestling smart crowd. And see, like I said earlier, if the crowd are anti the match, at least they're playing into it here, because as everyone highlights it, Cena sucks. And speaking of which, the Cena sucks chants was a nice way to play on the New Day chant. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Overall, the crowd did lull a little in the early going after the first few moves were done when John Cena was in offense, but after that, it was pretty damn good. Actually, no, not 4. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. It's actually a 4.5 on the crowd. So yeah, that little bit was all because of the start. And probably because of how muted the ending ended up being a little bit when Jon Stewart arrived and had to delay himself. You know. Then the match length and pacing, which I gave that a 3.5. I mean, you look at this match, it was slow to begin with as the crowd grew impatient. But then when Rollins hit his offense, it was hard-hitting and inevitably short-lived. So yeah, the crowd didn't like it a lot. However, later on, it was really fast. Multiple near falls resulted from Rollins' offense, peaking it all up again. And it felt like an old-fashioned Cena match. Because he was getting too much offense. I was thinking, oh god, Cena's going to come back in and win. Luckily, it didn't do that. And it was overall really, really quick. Multiple near falls. And it dragged the match out, though. I have to say that even though the multiple near falls were great for the crowd and the overall consistency of the pace, it was 19 minutes and 27 seconds. It could have been 3 or 4 minutes shorter, and it would have been pretty much perfect. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, the match needed a slowdown point, because even after all this crap of these guys are putting each other through, both of them didn't slow up. Getting up after each finish like it didn't matter. And I'm thinking, come on, you're putting yourselves through punishment, slow the match down so you can then rebuild for a climactic finish. They didn't get a chance to really execute that, which was a little bit poor, which explains the rating, I guess. And my enjoyment is overall 3.5. The match was very well executed considering. Longest match of the night had entertaining psychology, entertaining moves, and the crowd were into it pretty much the entire time. I mean, apart from some pacing issues and maybe some more body selling overall, and a bit of blood possibly, from the nose, it could have been really high up. But then again, that doesn't stop it from being as high up as this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a 4-star match. See, the guy who you hate the most puts on some of the best matches, and you cannot deny how good that is. Seriously. Now, the Divas Tag Team Elimination Match, which was surprisingly won by PCB in a result that I got completely wrong. Hey, at least I knew Team Bad were going to be the first eliminated. I got that one. Inevitably, okay, I'm going to spare you guys here. The psychology department, it's a 1 for a reason. Even though you had all these teams hating each other, wanting to establish dominance, there was nothing. Seriously, I was thinking, oh, come on, you lot hate each other. Don't be so standardized about this. You're all standing on the ropes, you're all having a go at cheering each other on, but you're not doing anything. Seriously, the only thing that really lit my eyes up was later on in the match with Becky furiously punching the crap out of either Alicia Fox or the Bellas. I can't remember which one. And it was overall making me think, oh, finally, there's some intensity here. However, it came 14 minutes into a 15-minute match. That's just disappointing. I did not like that. Move variety was the best thing in this entire match. You had a high-flying insanity with all people concerned all going to the outside, an Alabama slam onto the floor by one of the Bellas, can never remember which one, and a double flapjack by them, as well as a double suplex. It was some good quality moves, some high spots, and it gave some excitement. But like I said, apart from that, there was not much, and it was reflected in the crowd reaction. 1.5 because they were rubbish. I don't care who you are, but if you've been clamoring for a Divas Revolution, watching all these divas, you want to see these matches, why are you not caring? Come on, New York. And sure, they got behind Sasha Banks. They got behind her, but she wasn't in the match very long, and they wanted it, but they never got it, so they never were able to peak up. They willed Paige on, sure, but they didn't get much of it. Only when Becky Lynch whacked all the Bellas around in the face did the crowd think, okay, here's a good chance. And the fact that the Bellas lost, that made them pop. That was it. little things in a match that lasted, get this, 15 minutes and 18 seconds. I'm sorry, but with that kind of pacing, where the match was abominably slow, incredibly sluggish, it didn't flow at all well, and with nothing at note going on, come on, 15 minutes? I know this is the Divas Revolution, but give me some content. And here is the problem with it. I know the match was smooth, but for God's sake, it didn't feel smooth while watching. I could tell the movements were easily executed, and the moves were well executed, but with nothing going on, I just didn't care. And it didn't pick up a lot at all, which was awful. And then you get to my enjoyment, which is a 1. I'm sorry, but this match was let down by having too many divas. If you had one from each team in a triple threat for the title instead, it would have done so much more. And seriously, Team Bad were eliminated and everyone else was crapping on it. Do you remember what kind of match she was in the night before? It was protecting the asset, and I hate the fact that people went crazy for it. Although, it's obvious to see why it happened, I like the fact that Becky got the pin. I didn't see it coming, it was a great way to give me something to cheer about after this match finished. And overall, it sucked. I'm going to say this right now, I went in thinking this match was going to be great. It failed pretty much every expectation, and just like Rusev Ziggler, it's only getting half a star. Although, to the benefit of the doubt, Rusev Ziggler was worse. So, I'll give the Divas a pat on the back for outdoing Rusev and Ziggler in that match. Oh boy, but still, I expected way more from this, and it did not deliver. Now, I had to wait a long time for this one, but in the second to last match on the card, surprising pretty much everybody, Kevin Owens defeated Cesaro. And I'm amazed this thing went on second to last, because it's a good spot, but usually that's the place where you put a rubbish match to calm the crowd down. It was not well placed, I will say, but they made the most of it. Whew, they made the most of what they were given. The psychology was a 3.5. The commentators, they hyped up that Owens is physically beat up after his match last night, and it should have played into the pace and the story of the match, because this was before the bell rung, obviously. Owens was telling Michael Cole, while he was on the outside, to just watch and pay attention, and he got hit by a flying plancha by Cesaro. Love it. It was a must-win for Owens, as the commentators kept highlighting after his losses in the last few months, and the commentators are really selling the story here. They're saying Owens has to win. If he doesn't win, bad things are going to happen. Sure, it telegraphs the finish, but I kind of saw that coming, nonetheless. Then, Owens worked on the head and the neck of Cesaro with big moves, and it drove his intensity of wanting to win really far forward. The physicality of it all was just brilliant, and amazing that Owens is working two kinds of physical matches like this for 2 nights running. And then, of course, I've got to give this some plaudits, shouting out to Cole before hitting a big move, Cole, this is for you, because apparently Michael Cole doubts Kevin Owens. Still, hopefully that'll play into the next round after beating Cesaro here tonight. Move variety, a 3.5 as well. Where do I start? Somersault plancha by Owens. Corkscrew plancha by Cesaro. A cannonball to the outside by Owens. A spinning neck breaker by Owens, which I always love those kinds of moves. A rolling leg drop, which looked like it could have smashed a nose in, by Owens. A top rope gut wrench suplex by Cesaro. A springboard tornado DDT by Owens. A springboard moonsault attempt, which always brings a mark out of me. A top rope fisherman buster by Owens. And it showed, with all of these moves, he won like he needed to. He pulled out these giant moves to say to Cesaro, I know you're strong, but you can't go against a guy who's pulling out the same kind of caliber moves as you. You're not going to do this. And it was really fun overall. Crowd reaction? A 2.5. I was really expecting the crowd to be into this. Sure, they were popping for the big moves and they were into the idea of watching it, but then once it went on, they were less into it. I was thinking, why? You're a New York crowd. This is an indie fan's wet dream. You should be loving this. So, were you just looking, going, oh, we've got Taker Lesnar on next. I might as well take my seat back and not do anything and reserve my voice. I don't know, because for me, I was loving every second of it. You lot in the crowd looked like you were bored, which wasn't good. But apart from that middle ground, came alive in the last couple of minutes and made the crowd go nuts. So what more do I have to say? Match length and pacing was a 3.5, and honestly, because this match got much more than I thought. 14 minutes and 18 seconds. I thought they'd get less time than this. They had enough time to tell the story it needed and establish Owens, giving Cesaro some time to fight back. This match did exactly what it needed to. However, I will say this. It was fast-paced, surprisingly. I wasn't expecting it to be so aggressive and fast-paced to begin with. I mean, it could have started off slow, then picked up, but of course, these big moves that they all did on each other slowed the pace, which was good, which is exactly what Cena and Rollins needed to do. But I look at the match and the story of it, and the fact that the momentum shifts were few. And the thing is, Cesaro, when you look at Cesaro and John Cena, both are strong guys. Cesaro, I felt he could have fought back sooner. You know, he could have had more momentum shifting towards him in this match. Because to me, it felt a bit one-sided. Cesaro was bigging himself up throughout the entire build-up to this, and he didn't do much, apart from some big spots. So, it didn't play out well there. But nonetheless, what else they did was really good. And honestly, guys, this match was exactly what I expected it to be. An entertaining, spot-filled, amazingly fun match to watch that was surprisingly well-paced for the most of it. If only the crowd were into it more, I could have given this match probably a 4-star rating, but I'm not. Overall, it's a 3.5-star match, and I am so happy for it because I thought WWE would screw the pooch and ruin this. Happily, they gave them the time, they gave them the ability to lay the story out, and it worked superbly. Well done, you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing more. Finally, we reach the main event, where The Undertaker defeated Brock Lesnar for the first time ever, with a finish that will be talked about for quite a while. And I will address it when I come to it, everybody. But you can see on the ratings on the screen, this was a good one. Whoa. Psychology 4.5. Lesnar went straight to Taker before the bell. It was brilliant. That intensity is what I miss in pro wrestling today. The turnbuckle shot caused a busted open Lesnar, so for the second time tonight, we got blood. Taker is out for Lesnar's head, and it shows. The commentators, though, highlight that Lesnar has been going for the chest and the ribs since the first punch. So when Taker goes for the F5 on the table and holding his ribs and looking quite out of it, they're thinking, well, hold on a second, he's doing suplexes, wearing down the back, he's punched those ribs in. This guy is working out well. I thought, oh, that was surprisingly nuanced. I hadn't even realised it. Brilliant. Well, see, this is what I mean. When the commentators are on point and they're selling the story, they do it bloody well. Although Michael Cole. Then, of course, there's the "I'll kill you, you son of a bitch," while Taker is down, which, oh my god. Then you got Lesnar overselling the massive chokeslam, but I don't really give a damn. Trying to show that Taker has enough strength in him, he fell down after it. Whew. Then, Lesnar kicks out of the tombstone and the last ride. Lesnar held in the Kimura lock-in against the referee stoppage to bring in the pain. And Taker, he then kicked out of 2 F5s. Someone explain how. Just the fact that these guys were putting each other through so much punishment without having to go over the top to do it, told that these two were physically demanding wrestlers who will put each other through hell to ensure they win. And it was great. Fantastic stuff. Then, Taker duped Brock into the Hell's Gate by faking an injury. See, this sly Undertaker that we are seeing right now, wouldn't have done that before. Then we get to the ending. Now, the bell was rung on account of one thing. That apparently Taker tapped out, but the referee was looking for the pinfall on the shoulders. So inevitably, Taker lost the match, according to Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar and the referee. Technically, if he had seen it, Timekeeper said, hey, hold on a sec, look at this. The match is over. Match gets restarted, Taker hits a low blow and puts the Hell's Gate in. Taker, well, he looks like he's won. Lesnar hits a middle finger at him and passes out in the pain. Now, this ending is controversial for a number of reasons. I can understand why. Lesnar got screwed. The finish killed the crowd. I understand that. But I look at it this way. I said in my predictions that one way or another, one of them has to set the ball rolling for one of them to freak out and challenge to a rematch down the line. Thing is, an angry Heyman and an angry Lesnar, as the result of this piece of timekeeping refereeing bull, is exactly the kind of storytelling we needed. And to have people going, oh, what's the point of this? To make Taker win and make Lesnar look like a piece of crap. Well, he didn't. He stuck a middle finger up at Taker as he passed out. How can that be a bad thing? And I look at that finish and go, for what I thought in the predictions, saying we're going to have one of these guys coming out on Raw being royally pissed, and then starting the ball rolling for whenever that rematch happens in what would be a very violent, very aggressive match. This sets it up brilliantly. And also, Taker cheated to win. He's a heel. Is he a heel? Yes. To those of you who say he isn't, well, you're going to have to wave bye-bye to that, because only a heel low blows somebody behind the referee's back mid-match. Just saying. Oh man, all we needed was a little bit more body selling, and we could have had this as a 5. Nonetheless, though, we have more to get through. Move variety was a 1.5. This is where the match lost points. And it was mostly because of the 2 moves that stood out. The F5 through the announce table, and the chokeslam counter into a German suplex. Usually with Lesnar's matches, I rate the move variety down because it is mostly German suplexes. And that's the problem. Even with Taker's moveset being in there, it didn't change enough. Remember when I, of course, you guys didn't see the review of WrestleMania because WWE are idiots for removing my review stupidly for a reason I still hold as the worst thing that's ever happened. You look at it like this. Undertaker's moveset doesn't change from the norm. He rarely puts in new things. So inevitably in this match, the same thing came through. It was all Lesnar hitting these moves that made me excited. The rest of it was all the psychology's doing. So where do I stand on that? The move variety needs to be more in the third match for me to ever give any one of those a 5-star. So, or even higher than this, whatever that is. So inevitably, the move variety is where this match failed miserably, but I should get used to it by now considering who's involved. Crowd reaction was a 4.5. I mean, they were into absolutely everything. But of course, I take a 0.5 off because that ending killed them. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether to boo Taker or what. They couldn't pound it into their brains. And inevitably, it just felt awful as a result. So, sorry. Match length and pacing also gets a 4.5 because it was incredibly aggressive for a very fast start. And I didn't expect this. And you know what I didn't expect either? Momentum shifts, being fluid and fast as well. And it made it look like these guys had good chemistry and they really wanted to have it out for each other. They didn't care how tired they were going to get. Adrenaline was going to power them through. And that's all good. And that is all good. You don't even need to worry about that. Then the time. 17 minutes and 51 seconds. I thought it was going to go about 5-10 minutes longer than this. But in a way, it could have done. But at the same time, it did balance itself out as a result. With the fast pace throughout, I'm actually also surprised how consistent it was. Very few botches, if any to really note. And honestly, for 17 minutes, I was on a thrill ride. So I can't go wrong with it. I really can't. And the thing is, I wasn't thinking this match would be the best of the night. I thought, okay, it's going to be good, but because obviously Taker's in better shape, but it's not going to be the match. However, the story, the pacing, the timing, the crowd, and just everything bar the moves made this so fun. You were just on the edge of your seat going, how is this going to end? And it ended with a piece of crap to some, but a great storyline advancer to me. And inevitably, if it wasn't for the moves and a few little things that could put the crowd onto 5, the match length on a 5, and my enjoyment on a 5, and possibly even the psychology on a 5 with some more body selling, this could have been a 5-star classic. I'm disappointed it isn't now, looking back on it. But I look at this match, it was brilliant. It was everything you expected for money being paid. I'm just disappointed it didn't happen at WrestleMania 30, because if it did, oh boy, it would have been amazing. Nonetheless, Taker vs. Lesnar lived up to its hype, and it gets 4.5 stars. You all may think I'm insane, because with these big marks, you gotta have a good eye for these kinds of things. I think, based on my reputation of the last couple of WWE pay-per-view events, which have had these type of good quality matches, I'm not wrong. This match delivered and then some. Way more than I ever thought it would. Now, onto my final thoughts. When I look back at this show, there are two things that spring to mind that sum it all up. Big match delivery and surprising inconsistency. While the two main event matches delivered in droves with Owens and Cesaro surprising given its spot on the card, the rest of them held themselves up as average, or they ended up falling off completely and not delivering in any way. And while all the matches had some story to tell in the build-up, it was really annoying that very little of that actually played into the matches themselves, bar those main event matches. They didn't deliver at all. And when you combine that with wrong match placement in a lot of cases, combining with a crowd that weren't as receptive, which from a New York crowd is disappointing, made some of these smaller matches lack the pizzazz they needed to elevate them just a little higher. And when we look back on what Jon Stewart said at the beginning with Mick Foley, he said that these would be 10 of the best bouts that you would ever witness. I look at it and say, based on my rankings, only 2 of them came close. 2 out of 10. And you know what? Even with that, and while the event did have the problems I've mentioned, I can't say it was necessarily bad. With only 3 of the matches being below 1 star, and the rest comfortably hanging around average or higher, it was a show that delivered on a good chunk of its hype. And was it enough, though, to put it up with WrestleMania 31? No. Hell, even Money in the Bank managed to score a little better, in my opinion. In the shadow of more recent SummerSlams, it does fall a little short of the status quo. However, it was still enjoyable enough for me to say it was time well spent. Or as Rico would say, according to his rating system, it was a good time, no alcohol required. SummerSlam 2015 gets a final score of 6.5 out of 10, which, when considering the hype, the score almost reflects the bare minimum that I wanted from this event, which means I can be satisfied to a degree. And overall, it gives me the confidence that if they do this 4-hour premise again for SummerSlam, they can learn from what the mistakes they've made here, they can refine it, and they can make it a hell of a lot better. 6.5 out of 10 is a good start, but damn it, we need more from a show of this length, and it needs to be done much better, maybe in 2016 or whenever the hell they do it again. Well there guys, it's done. SummerSlam 2015 review is out of here. I'm sorry it went an hour long almost, but when you've got 10 matches to microanalyze, it's going to take a while, but I hope you've all enjoyed nonetheless. What do you think of my ratings? Do you think they were all good? Do you think I was completely wrong, or do you think I was 100% correct? Or, just generally, what are your thoughts on everything? Go put your views in the comment section below, I'd be very happy to read them. And if you want to see any more wrestling content or anything else that the CC Network has to offer, click that subscribe button and I would greatly appreciate it. Now, if you look down in the description box, I will be highlighting that if you stay along to the end here, I will give you a channel update, guys. You can probably tell in some of the recent videos I've done, I've been coughing a lot, I still haven't overcome the cold I've had, maybe I've strained my vocal cords too much. And I'm realizing, as I'm close to graduating from university, going out into the job market, I don't want to be bogged down by too much in the next month or so, and I want to kind of take a break after all this video work I've been doing over the last while. So, Wind Waker Part 6 will be coming up later this week. Then the anime review of HBK Euphonium will probably come the week after that. I have news on Friendship is Reviewed and the future of it, based on some discussions with a few close friends of mine, and inevitably myself on the future of it. And I will get that done this week as well, on top of the Wind Waker playthrough. But after that, I am not doing any videos pretty much for the entire month of September, because I'm feeling a bit knackered, I'm tired, and if I'm going to be going into the job market with a CV in hand, I don't want to be distracted by video content. Sure, I will be watching things, I will be noting things, I'll be writing some scripts, but when it comes to actually recording content, that will not be where I'm going to be. I don't want to take all my time up on it, because if something happens and everything changes and I'm in the middle of projects, I don't want to have to, just chuck them aside and then not do them for ages because I have to focus on work. So, inevitably, if anything happens, I will come back up for a review of Night of Champions in September as the only major upload I will do in that month. So yeah, I won't do a predictions video for it, but I will do the review as per normal because you guys need consistency on the wrestling front. I didn't record a Battleground review due to a lot of work-related things, and inevitably I need to deliver on these reviews more for you. So I will keep that up, but apart from that, no other videos for the next month at least, after the 2 I have planned to still get uploaded before that time. Okay? Good. I will probably reaffirm it in the Friendship is Reviewed analysis type thing that I have to put up later this week, in case some of you haven't gotten to the end to hear this, and it'll hopefully explain everything. Guys, I've been Frey Thomas, you've been people listening. This has been the SummerSlam 2015 review, and I will see you all later in the week for Wind Waker Part 6. Cheers!